Long before Roswell or Area 51, one of the strangest sky stories in American history unfolded over the Charles River in 1639. The Puritans of Boston, stern, devout, and deeply religious, were not the kind of people to exaggerate. Yet one cold night, as the settlers gathered near the dark water, several of them looked up and froze. There, in the still New England sky, lights began to dance. Not stars, not comets. These lights moved deliberately in circles, back and forth over the river as if guided by something unseen. One man, Governor John Winthrop himself, recorded it in his journal, writing that a great light appeared between Charlestown and Boston, bright as the moon, darting about for several hours. The witnesses swore they saw the lights move swiftly from one point to another, and when they looked back at their boats, they had mysteriously drifted several miles upstream, as though time had slipped. What makes this story chilling is that it happened long before modern flight, long before electricity, long before anyone had words like UFO or alien. To the Puritans, it could only be an omen from God or something darker. Centuries later, UFO researchers would revisit the record and call it America's first documented sighting of an unidentified flying object. But the question remains, what did those settlers actually see in 1639? A celestial phenomenon? A trick of the mind? Or something that visited this new world long before we were ready to understand it? Most people know the Mona Lisa as a mysterious painting, but very few know the real girl behind the smile. Her name was Lisa Gherardini, a real woman born in Florence in 1479. She wasn't a queen, not a princess, not a noblewoman. She was just an ordinary girl from a normal family, living in a busy city filled with merchants, artists, and dreamers. When she was 15, she married a silk merchant named Francesco del Giocondo. He wasn't rich, but he wanted something special to celebrate their new home and the birth of their son. So he hired a man who, at the time, was known more for his inventions than his paintings, Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo met Lisa in 1503. People said she had a calm, gentle personality, the kind of presence that made a room feel warm. But Leonardo saw something deeper, something he couldn't explain. He started painting her, but he didn't finish. He kept the painting with him for the rest of his life. He carried it from Florence to Milan and finally to France. Why? Because he wasn't painting a portrait. He was painting a mystery, a woman with a smile that didn't reveal everything. Lisa Gherardini lived a quiet life. She had 6 children, survived illnesses, and stayed humble despite becoming the face of the world's most famous painting. She never knew she would become Mona Lisa. She never knew her smile would become a legend. She was just a real girl with a real life who inspired the most famous smile in history. In 1838, Paris was loud, crowded, and constantly moving. But none of that survived the photograph taken by Louis Daguerre from his window overlooking Boulevard du Temple. Because early cameras needed long exposure times, sometimes 10 minutes or more, and anything that moved simply vanished, erased by time itself. Carriages disappeared, horses dissolved, crowds faded into nothing, and when the image finally developed, the city looked abandoned, like humanity had suddenly gone extinct. Except for one small detail hiding in the corner, a man standing still while getting his shoes shined, his foot raised. The shoe shiner crouched beside him, both unknowingly holding the same pose long enough to be burned into the photograph forever, making this anonymous man the first human ever captured on camera. Not because he was famous, important, or planned to be there, but because he paused while the world kept moving, turning an ordinary errand into a historic accident, a reminder that history doesn't always remember the loudest moments. Sometimes it remembers the quiet ones, when everyone else disappears and one person stands still just long enough to be seen. George Washington once lost an entire army's dinner, not to the enemy, not to sabotage, but to his own hungry soldiers. During the Revolutionary War, Washington's men were exhausted, freezing, unpaid, and constantly underfed, marching on empty stomachs day after day. One night rations finally arrived late, and officers ordered the food saved for the next day's march so the army could move at dawn with strength. But discipline was thin, morale was worse, and alcohol was everywhere. Rum was often issued to keep spirits up and bodies warm. As darkness fell, soldiers began drinking, then cooking, just a little, then helping themselves until restraint collapsed completely. Fires burned across camp. Pots were emptied. Meat meant to sustain thousands the next day vanished before sunrise. By morning, the food wagons were bare, the march had to be delayed, and Washington was furious. Not because of disobedience alone, but because he knew one stupid night could cost lives. An army without food moved slower, fought weaker, and risked collapse. Washington later wrote bitterly about how close the army constantly came to falling apart. Not from British attacks, but from hunger, exhaustion, and human weakness. When Buttons the Clown died, the entire town wasn't sure whether to cry or laugh. For over 40 years, Buttons had been a beloved figure, not just in the local circus, but in hospitals, parades, birthday parties, and even weddings. He once said, "If you can laugh at death, you can laugh at anything." And true to form, he left detailed instructions for a clown-themed funeral. On the day of his service, dozens of clowns arrived in full costume. Oversized shoes, rainbow wigs, red noses, and painted-on tears. They packed into a tiny hearse that honked like a rubber chicken, and the pallbearers carried his polka-dotted coffin while walking in exaggerated goose steps. Instead of hymns, a calliope played circus music. As the coffin was lowered, one of the clowns accidentally fired a confetti cannon, a moment that made everyone burst into tears and laughter at once. His final wish was granted. Every guest got a balloon animal and a slice of cake, and no one left without a smile. Buttons the Clown had managed to turn his own funeral into one last show, the greatest encore of all. Before Elvis Presley became known as the king of rock and roll, he faced rejection that could have ended his dream before it even started. As a young man in Memphis, Elvis nervously recorded his first songs at Sun Studio, paying just a few dollars to make a record for his mother. When he tried to break into the music industry, he was dismissed by people who couldn't see his potential. One story says a music teacher told him he had no talent for singing. And even after his first audition at the Grand Ole Opry, he was advised to go back to truck driving because he supposedly didn't have what it took to be a performer. Imagine being told you couldn't sing, only to become one of the most iconic voices in history. Instead of quitting, Elvis pushed forward, blending gospel, blues, and country into a sound the world had never heard before. By the mid-1950s, his swiveling hips, electrifying stage presence, and unforgettable voice transformed him into a cultural phenomenon. The same boy once told to give up would go on to sell over 1 billion records worldwide, star in Hollywood films, and forever change the course of popular music. Elvis Presley's story is proof that sometimes the very thing people say you can't do is exactly what you're destined to achieve. Long before the world knew Elvis Presley as the king of rock and roll, his natural hair was actually a sandy blonde, something that might surprise a lot of people today. In the early 1950s, when Elvis was still trying to find his identity and stand out in a crowded music scene, he made a bold decision that would quietly shape his entire image. Inspired by film stars and a desire to look more striking under stage lights, he began dyeing his hair a deep jet black. At first, it wasn't about fame, it was about confidence, about becoming the version of himself he believed the world needed to see. The darker hair gave him a sharper, more rebellious edge, perfectly matching his smooth voice, electric performances, and that unforgettable charisma. As his career exploded, the black hair became just as iconic as his music, his outfits, and his moves. Fans didn't just recognize Elvis, they recognized the look. Over time, it became part of his legend, something so tied to his identity that many people never even realized it wasn't natural. Gucci, one of the world's most iconic luxury fashion brands, was founded by Guccio Gucci in 1921 in Florence, Italy. The story of its inception is a fascinating blend of craftsmanship, innovation, and an eye for what the wealthy wanted. Guccio Gucci started his career working in luxurious hotels in Paris and London, where he was inspired by the sophisticated luggage he saw affluent guests using. Recognizing a market for high-quality leather goods, Gucci returned to Florence, a city known for its skilled leather artisans. He opened a shop that sold fine leather goods with classic styling. His initial products were primarily equestrian-oriented, reflecting the tastes of his aristocratic clientele. Gucci's craftsmanship was exceptional, and the brand became known for its quality materials and attention to detail. One of his signature items was the leather handbag with a bamboo handle, introduced in the 1940s, which became an instant classic. As the brand grew, Gucci's sons joined the business, helping to expand it internationally. In the 1950s, Gucci opened stores in Rome, Milan, and New York, cementing its status as a global fashion icon. The Gucci loafer, with its distinctive metal horsebit, became an icon of casual luxury. Gucci's popularity soared in the 1960s and 1970s as celebrities and socialites embraced the brand. However, family disputes over the control of the company marred its success in the late 20th century, leading to a public feud that nearly destroyed the brand. In the 1990s, under the leadership of Tom Ford as creative director, Gucci underwent a significant transformation. Ford reinvigorated the brand with a modern aesthetic that appealed to a new generation of consumers. This period marked a rebirth for Gucci, solidifying its place in the fashion industry as a symbol of modern luxury. Dior's story begins in 1946 when Christian Dior, a French fashion designer, opened his couture house in Paris with the backing of textile magnate Marcel Boussac. Just a year later, Dior revolutionized women's fashion with his first collection, famously dubbed the New Look by Harper's Bazaar. Featuring nipped-in waists, full skirts, and an ultra-feminine silhouette, the style was a dramatic shift from the utilitarian fashion of wartime and instantly made Dior a global sensation. His designs symbolized elegance, luxury, and a return to opulence in post-war Europe. Though Christian Dior passed away unexpectedly in 1957, the brand continued to thrive under the creative direction of several iconic designers, including Yves Saint Laurent, John Galliano, Raf Simons, and currently Maria Grazia Chiuri. Today, Dior is one of the most prestigious luxury fashion houses in the world, renowned for haute couture, ready-to-wear, leather goods, and the timeless Miss Dior perfume. The brand's legacy continues to blend innovation with heritage, embodying the elegance and artistry of French fashion. The invention of perfume dates back to the earliest civilizations, where fragrant substances were used for religious ceremonies, personal adornment, and even medicinal purposes. The first recorded perfumer was Taputi, a woman from Mesopotamia who lived around 1200 BCE, known for refining aromatic oils using distillation techniques. Ancient Egyptians played a crucial role in the development of perfumery, using scented oils in rituals, embalming, and daily life. They created perfumes from flowers, resins, and spices, storing them in elaborately designed bottles. The tradition spread to the Indus Valley civilization, where aromatic substances like sandalwood and myrrh were widely used. In China, incense and floral extracts were integral to spiritual practices. The Greeks and Romans further refined perfume making, using olive oil as a base and incorporating exotic ingredients like saffron and musk. Romans even established public perfumeries, where scented oils were mass-produced for use in baths and homes. During the Islamic Golden Age, Persian scientist Avicenna revolutionized perfume making by developing steam distillation, leading to more refined and long-lasting fragrances. By the 14th century, Europe saw the emergence of Hungary water, a rosemary-based scent. The Renaissance brought perfume to prominence in France, thanks in part to Catherine de' Medici, who introduced Italian perfumery techniques to the French court. In the 18th and 19th centuries, Grasse, France, became the world's perfume capital, where flower cultivation and fragrance extraction flourished. The modern perfume industry was born in 1709 when Italian perfumer Johann Maria Farina created Eau de Cologne in Cologne, Germany. The 20th century saw the rise of synthetic fragrances, allowing for mass production and iconic perfumes.